What is up, guys? Fahir here from AwesomeTuts.com, and guess what? We are gonna add a boss in our game. So we're gonna go here in the sprites and then enemies, and we're gonna take boss number 4, which is this bad dude over here. And let me just select him, set the sprite mode to multiple, go in the sprite editor, and well, slice him appropriately. So click slice, and voila, this is our boss with all of his animations right here. Now I am going to hit apply, and I am going to add the boss in our game. So we're gonna have these two animations. So boss 4 or _0 and then _1. This is his idle animation. So select the two and drag and drop the boss right here. In the animations folder, create a folder called boss animations, and voila, here we are. Now, of course, we need to set the order in layer 2, and I am going to take these blocks, here it is, block parent, and deactivate them just because we are gonna work with the boss now. So here we're gonna say boss. Let's say the boss is on order in layer 3 so that the boss is rendered on top of everything else. Now, in regards to the boss, we are going to set the scale for the boss to 0.5, then 0.5, because the boss is going to be a little bit smaller. And we are going to add a box collider on him, and we are going to add a rigid body on him. So rigid body 2D, like this. So the box collider is not going to be a trigger, so we are not going to let the boss to be a trigger because the boss needs to stand still on the ground, but we are going to animate the boss and we are going to resize his collider. So on the X size for the collider, we're going to say 3.4. And for the Y, we can leave it how it is right now because this is the size of the collider. If you can take a look at and see where these green lines are. If you don't see, let me quickly draw that to you. So here they are. Here it is. This is the collider that's on our boss. So the collider is right here. Checkbox. And as I said, we are going to animate our boss. So select the animation here, because we're gonna have the boss attack animation as well. So here we're gonna click on the animations and create a new clip, and we are going to save that into our, let me just find it here, boss animations. Actually, we did not save this in the boss animation. I did not create it. I actually created an animation called boss animation. Let me go here in animations, right click and create a new folder, which is going to be our boss animations folder. So animations. And here we are going to take and drag and drop these. And this is going to be our boss idle animation and not boss animation. So boss idle. Let me just see here in the animator if it's changed. So select the boss. And let me just change the name here. So it's boss idle. And voila, we are done. In changing the names, of course, but we are still not done with the animation. So we need to click on the drop down list, create a new clip, and assets, animations, boss animations, and we are going to name this one boss attack. And for the boss attack, we need to go in the assets, sprites, and enemies, and we need to select the animations from _2 up to _7. So from _2 up to _7, I think that is it. Let me just see here. Yeah, _2, let me just select it. _2 up to _7, drag and drop all of those frames right here. And voila, this is the boss attack animation. And the last one is going to be create a new clip, boss dead, and hit enter. And we need to select from _8 up to _12. And bam, we are going to drag and drop these right here. So these are the boss's animations. If I hit the play button, we are going to see the boss being animated, but we see the boss being animated like he is having a seizure. Now, this is not something that we want. We want the animation to be a little bit slower. So select the boss here in the hierarchy, and then select your animator tab and select the boss idle animation in the animator tab. And I'm going to set the speed of the boss animation to 0.2. I'm going to hit the play button and take a look at the boss animation now. So it is a little bit better. It is slower. Our boss is not having a seizure, so on and so forth. So let's go inside of our boss script that we need to create. So here in the scripts folder, we are gonna have right click and new folder, boss scripts. Inside of our boss script, so right click, create a new C# script. This is going to be boss script like this. Select the boss dude. Look at how bad our boss is. I mean, he's a bad boy. So double click it and open it right here in MonoDevelop. Tag it. As always, I don't think that I need to say these things over and over again. Just tag it and, well, move along. So what do we need? First of all, we need a stone because our boss is throwing a stone. If I go into the animation tab for the boss and select the boss attack animation, notice the boss is throwing a stone. You see, he is throwing that stone. So we need the stone, and we are going to get a reference to it by using a public game object called stone. We are also going to get a public transform, which is our attack instantiate. This is the position from where we are going to instantiate our stone. We also need a private animator, which is our anim, and we need a private string. So private string for our coroutine name that we are going to create. So coroutine underscore name, which is going to be equal to start attack. Now, inside of the awake function, so void awake, we are going to get a reference to the animator. So our anim is equal to get component animator like this. And in the start function, we're going to call the coroutine that we still did not create. So let's go here. IEnumerator. We're going to create IEnumerator start attack like this in order for us to start attacking. And inside of this function, we are simply going to yield, return, new, wait for seconds, and we are going to wait, let's say, a random range number. So random range from 2f up to 5f. So between 2 and 5 seconds, we are going to wait, and then we are going to play. So we're going to call our anim to play our boss attack animation. So here we're going to say boss attack animation. And below it, we're simply going to say start coroutine with our coroutine name, which is, well, this one right here, which is start attack, as you can see. So far, nothing new. We do need to go here in the start and call this animation so that when we run our game, the animation will start. If I go here in Unity and I, well, clear the console, we do need to right click on the boss and go under create empty. This is going to be our transform instantiate, which is where we are going to instantiate the bullet or the stone. For the X, I'm going to position it at 0 or negative 0.7. And for the Y, I'm going to say 2.3. So not 23, but 2.3. This is the point where we are going to instantiate our stone. How do I know this? Well, I played the animation. You see here, and bam, you see the stone is right there. So right here, if I tag it with a blue icon, you see this is where we are going to instantiate our stone. So we need to select the boss and drag and drop our attack instantiate right here, and voila, we are good to go. But we still don't have the stone, and in order for us to have the stone, we are going to go here in our prefabs, or actually in the sprites, enemies, and right below the boss 4 we have the boss stone, which is this dude right here. Let me just set the order in layer at 3. This is our, well, stone for the boss. Now in regards to the stone, we need to add a circle collider on him. So let me just rename him here to stone. Attach a circle collider 2D. The radius is going to be set at 0.66, and we're going to attach a rigid body 2D component on the stone himself. Now we do need to go in the prefabs, enemy prefabs, drag and drop the boss, drag and drop the stone, and select the boss now. And from the prefabs folder, drag and drop the stone right there. And let me just hit apply so that the change applies to the boss prefab. We can go now here and we are starting the attack. If I run the game, so if I hit the play button, we will see the boss playing the idle animation. So now he is going to go crazy. What is going on with our boss? I mean, what is going on with the boss? First of all, we're going to take the boss's attack. So select the boss in the hierarchy. We don't want our boss to have a seizure like you just saw. We want to take his boss attack animation, which is this one right here, and slow down the speed to 0.1. So it will play 0.1 or 10% of the speed of its actual speed, that is. So if I hit the play button now, notice the player is going to start the attack and bam, he is attacking, but he is attacking infinitely. How can we fix this? Well, in order for us to fix this, we need to create two animation events. The first one is going to be void back to idle. And simply in our back to idle, we're going to call our anim. So we're going to call our anim here to play our boss idle animation. We do need to go inside of Unity, select the boss in the hierarchy and select the animation tab. And you see boss attack. At the last frame of the boss attack, we are going to add an animation event. For that animation event, we are going to select back to idle as you see right here. So back to idle. If I hit the play button now, notice when that boss plays his attack, he attacks and he goes back to idle, as you just saw, attacks and goes back to idle. So again, he will attack every time, bam, and goes back to idle. But when he is attacking, as you see here, nothing is happening. We need to instantiate our stone. Because of that, we are going to create here void attack like this. And we're simply going to call our game object and name it obj, instantiate him at the, or first we are going to instantiate the stone, which is, well, this one right here, this dude. And then we are going to call our attack instantiate that position, because this is the position where we want to instantiate that game object using quaternion.identity. Going back in our Unity at the before last frame, so this frame right here, just where the player, or actually the boss, throws the stone, add another animation event. And for that animation event, we are going to select our attack function. But notice now what's going to happen. When I hit the play button, the boss is going to throw the stone, but you saw the boss was like hit with that stone and so on and so forth. So we need to take the stone, set him to be a trigger. So the stone needs to be a trigger, which will not move the boss. You saw the boss was like he was on drugs or something, but you see the stone just fell down. What is going on? We are not applying any force to the stone. So here when we attack, we're going to say obj.getComponent, rigid body 2D like this, and we're going to say add force, and we are going to apply a new vector 2 for both x and y. So we're going to say here new vector 2 random dot range between negative 300 for the x and or negative 700. So between negative 300 and 700, this is for the x, and comma for the y. So it's new vector 2, and this one here is for the x, this one here is for the y. Let me just double check that, see everything is okay. So yeah, we are done and good to go. So for the x, we are simply adding between negative 300 and negative 700. Why negative? Because we are throwing the rock from the right to the left side. We're throwing the rock to the left side. If I go here and hit the play button, notice now what's going to happen. When we throw the stone, pay attention to the boss. Bam, you see he is throwing the stone. We are applying force, and you see now he threw it harder or with much more force. You see again, throwing and throwing. Come on, we need to go away from the stone. But bam, you see what is going on here. He is throwing the stone at our player. And why negative? Because the negative side on the x-axis is the left side, and this is where we are throwing, or this is where we want our stone to go. So this is for the boss attack script. This is how he is going to attack. Now for the stone script itself, we need to go here in scripts, in the boss script, right click and create our stone script. This is not like stone when you smoke weed and you get stoned. Don't worry about that. It's a regular stone. I mean, don't be all judgmental. So go here into enemy prefabs, stone, and attach the stone script. Double click it and open it here in Mount and Develop. And I don't even have to say what I'm going to do. So let me just do that. And now here we are going to create a function right below the start. So we're going to say void. So void deactivate, which is going to deactivate our game object by simply calling game object set active to false. As always, and in the start function, we're going to call a function called invoke. This is a built-in function. And we are going to call it like this, passing a function with a name and passing here for f. What is this? What am I doing? The invoke function invokes the method name in time seconds. What does that mean? We pass a method name as a string. So deactivate right here is the name of our function, deactivate. And calling invoke deactivate, we are going to call that function in 4 seconds. So we are passing here the time, which is 4f, meaning 4 seconds. So after we call this invoke, after 4 seconds, it is going to call a function called deactivate, which is this one right here, which is going to simply deactivate our game object. And this is what we are doing. So invoke also allows you to call a function after a delayed period of time. So invoke, passing the function name as a string and how many seconds or after how many seconds you want that function to be called. And the last thing that we're going to do is invoke on trigger enter 2D, which takes a collider 2D, which I'm going to call target, like this. And here we're going to test if our target.tag is equal to myTags.playerTag. We are simply going to call our game object set active false to deactivate the game object, which is our stone, so it will be deactivated. But we are also going to say target.getComponent, which is our player damage, .deal damage to apply damage to our player, because we are throwing stones, for crying out loud, at our player. He needs to get some damage. He needs to be damaged, okay? I will not settle for this. The player needs to be damaged. What am I saying? I have no idea. Anyways, if we hit the player, so my tags is equal to the player tag, we are going to get the component player damage from the player, deal damage to him, and then we are simply going to deactivate him. Let us test it out. Let us test that out. If the stone hits the player, we should see that our player's lives should go back to bam. You see, it went to 0 and bam, we have restarted our game because, well, initially here, if I go in our player, let me just find it here. So score X player damage. We set the life count or score to be 3. So I'm going to set it back to 1 and allow our player some chance before he dies. I'm going to hit the play button now. And notice when the boss throws things at player, bam, he hit him. You see the stone just disappeared. And, well, our player's lives are now at 2. What we can do now is that we can create our boss health script. So we can go here, C# script, we can say boss health. This is going to kill the boss, so we can attach it on the boss like this. And we can go here in our boss health and I can say class as always. And what do we need for our boss health? We need a private animator, which I'm going to call anim. We also need a private int health, which let's say is equal to 10 by default. And in the awake function, we are going to say anim is equal to get component animator. We do need the same variable as we did with our player, so private bool can damage, so that we can determine if we can damage our player or the boss or not. So can damage is equal to true. And we need a public function. So here we need some public void. So public void, or actually we can do it like this. We can say on trigger enter 2D, which takes a collider 2D, which I'm gonna call target. And inside of here, we can test if our target.tag is equal to mytags.bullet tag, because we can kill the boss with the bullet. Then we are going to do what? We are going to subtract our health, same thing as we did with our player damage. So we are going to subtract the health, test if the health is lower or actually equal to 0, and then restart the game. But we also need here void, or actually IEnumerator, which is going to deal the same thing as with our player. So here we are going to, can damage is going to be equal to false, and wait for damage. So we can copy the name of this here. So we can go here, copy the name and paste it simply. So wait for damage. And when we receive damage, we're simply going to say our health minus minus. If our health is equal to 0, so drops down to 0, we are going to play, so call our anim right here, anim.play, not playback time, man. So play our boss dead like this, and the boss will die. But we also need to call our wait for damage so that we can actually set the damage back. And here we are going to say can damage now is equal to false, so that we cannot attack our boss again. And we are going to put all of that right here. So if the target is actually equal to the bullet tag, and if we can damage, then we are going to actually say health minus minus, can damage is false, and then we're simply going to call here start coroutine and passing here the name wait for damage. Now, same principle as we did with our player. So if we can damage, then we are going to do all of this right here. Same thing, if we can damage, and maybe we can also move this can damage outside, so we can put it, let me just put these lines of code back. By the way, I'm holding shift and tab to move these lines of code backwards. You saw me that. So it's shift and tab to move them backwards. So we can go here, select all of this, and if can damage, so only if can damage, we will detect if the target tag is equal to the bullet, health minus minus, and then we are simply going to call here can damage is false, health is 0, play the boss dead, and start the coroutine wait for damage. Let me just go here in our boss dead animation and see how fast it is playing. So I'm going to set it as a default value and see how fast it is playing. So yeah, it's playing pretty fast. So I'm going to call it like this. 0.1 for the speed of the boss dead animation. So let's see now. Okay, this is okay, but I'm going to also double click the animation, by the way. So notice now, when I hit the play button, you see the animation is playing slower, but it is all in idle. So it is all in idle. We don't, or actually it is looping. We don't want that. What do we want? We want to select the boss dead, and we want to say here loop time is unchecked. And by the way, you saw this. So if I go back here, notice now. So this is our boss dead animation. Notice now we're going to play the throw rock. Why is that? Well, because of our play damage right here, and we are calling our coroutine. So if we die, we need to deactivate the coroutine and deactivate our player damage function, or actually the player attack. Let me just find it here. Player damage, boss health, boss. Let me just go here. I'm saying player damage, but it's boss damage. So the boss script, here it is. We need to get a reference to the boss script and stop this coroutine. So what do we need to do here? We need to create a function, public void, deactivate boss script like this. We are going to call here stop the coroutine. So here start, and here we're going to say stop. So stop the coroutine, which is, well, this right here. And then we can deactivate our boss script by simply calling here enabled is equal to false. Now, what is this enabled? This enabled will deactivate this script. You see here, when I go in Unity, select the boss, you see that we have the boss script and we have the checkbox. Now, this checkbox here is for enabling and disabling that component. So if we call enabled is equal to false, it will disable that component. So in our boss health script, if the health is 0, we're gonna say here get component, which is our boss script like this, and we're gonna call disable, or how did we call this function? Deactivate boss script. So we're gonna say here dot deactivate the boss script. And let's test it out now when we play the dead animation. So if I go back here, or actually, no, we cannot test it like this because we need to make our health drop to 0. And I'm going to say here health is equal to 1 and shoot the boss. So I'm going to shoot the boss with our player, go in Unity, set the boss idle animation to be the default one because we need to shoot him in order for this to apply. If I shoot him, and bam, you saw the boss died, but we did not see the bullet of our player. And notice, the boss attack and idle are not playing, and the boss is dead. We did not see our bullet because we need to go in the prefabs and player prefabs bullet, set the order in layer at 2. So if I go back here, notice now when I hit him, bam. Now the bullet has passed through the boss because we need to tag the boss with the boss tag. Go here, boss tag. Select the boss and tag him, not with the coin tag, tag him with the boss and hit apply. Go inside of our my tags, and right here we're gonna say public static string boss underscore tag is equal to boss, like this. And now we can go inside of our bullet script, so fire bullet, and add here one more or statement, or target dot game object tag is equal to my tags dot boss tag. So it will make him explode, can move is false, and we will disable the bullet. Let's test that out. If I hit the play button, shoot the boss, bam, the bullet has exploded, and we saw the boss has died. Now you see when the boss dies, he is right here. What we need to do is call disable after 2 seconds, 1 second is not important. And also his animation, you see, he's like floating. Now I'm gonna leave this to you to fix it. And how are you going to fix it? Well, you're gonna go here in the boss dead animation and you're gonna simply start moving the boss downwards. So for example, you see here boss is at this position. I'm gonna hit record and move him down, something like this. So now the boss goes here, move him down a little bit further. Boss is here now, move him down a little bit further like this. Boss is down, move him a little bit further like this. Now I said I'm gonna leave it to you, but I've just fixed it. So yeah, let me just go back here and see that. You see the boss is now going down. So if we go inside of our play game and now try that out, shoot the boss, you see, bam. You saw the boss, how he was going down. But we do need to select the boss also in the rigid body, freeze his Z rotation and hit apply so that our boss does not rotate as you just saw. So if I hit the play button again, shoot the boss, bam, you saw the boss falling down. And you can make this animation a little bit prettier than I did, but I just showed you how you can do it. I wanted to leave it up to you, but yeah, I fixed it. So you saw the boss was going down, so on and so forth. So again, you can make the boss's animation a little bit smoother, and we saw examples of that by using our frog and the frog parent. You can use the same principle to animate the boss. And by the way, you can also create here in the boss health a coroutine that is going to deactivate the boss after, I don't know, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, however you want it. So Fahir here from AwesomeTuts.com. I will see you guys in the next video.